Welcome to the City of Bakersfield Planning Commission meeting. This television broadcast is brought to you by the local cable companies, the County of Kern, and the City of Bakersfield. You can watch the rebroadcast of this meeting Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 10 a.m. You can download the agenda for this meeting at www.bakersfieldcity.us. Presiding over this evening's meeting, Chair Daniel Cater.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to call to order the February 21st, 2019 Planning Commission meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Cater.
Here.
Commissioner Bell.
Here.
Commissioner Wade. Commissioner Coleman. Commissioner Lomas. Here. Commissioner Rudnick.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for attending tonight's Planning Commission meeting. This commission provides an opportunity for public participation in the development process throughout the City of Bakersfield. The Planning Commission considers a wide variety of projects, including subdivision, maps, zone changes, general plan amendments, and much more. When applications are received, the City Planning Division analyzes the request. Planning staff will present the facts about the project along with their recommendation to the Planning Commission, who will approve the item or make a recommendation as appropriate. Our goal is to carefully consider each project and make a decision that will balance individual rights with public welfare and the general well-being of our community. We will now move on to a time for public statements. This time is reserved for anyone wishing to address the Commission on any matter not on the public hearing portion of the agenda. If you are here for items 5A through 5I, this is not the time to speak. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the Commission? If so, please come forward and state your name. Seeing no one from the audience coming forward, we will now move on to the consent calendar non-public hearing items. These agenda items typically involve housekeeping or administrative matters that do not require a public hearing. Does any commissioner wish to remove a consent calendar non-public hearing item for separate consideration? If not, may I have a motion to adopt staff's recommendation on the consent calendar non-public hearing items?
So moved.
Commissioner Lomas, may I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Bell, thank you. Madam Secretary, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Cater.
Yes.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Lomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Rudnick.
Yes.
We will now move on to consent calendar public hearing items. The next agenda section include public hearing items that are considered routine or non-controversial. These items have been reviewed by staff and are conditioned in accordance with the requirements of the municipal code. The planning director will read each of the items on the consent calendar to ensure that the public has an understanding of all items to be considered. If you would like to speak on an item, please come forward after the items are read and ask that the item be removed for discussion. If no items are removed by a member of the public or a commissioner, the commission will vote on all items together in one motion without further comment. And before we begin, I'd like to state that I have a conflict on item 5G, and will be abstaining from voting on that item.
And just to clarify for the members of the audience, that will mean that we won't have quorum on that item, so we're going to move it to the March 7th meeting because there will only be 3 commissioners able to vote tonight. So if you want to reserve your comments till then, it would be more appropriate so that way the commissioner that's not here can hear your comments as well.
Thank you.
March 7th.
Okay. So Mr. Coyle, would you please read the items under the public hearing consent calendar items for this evening.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Planning Commission. On tonight's agenda, we have a number of projects to consider. First is an extension of time for vesting tentative tract map 6746, which is a proposal to approve 3 more years to develop this project, which consists of 154 lots for the purposes of single-family residential development on 39.8 gross acres located at the northwest corner of Ash Road and the future Romero Road. Project 5B is an extension of time for vesting tentative tract map 6747, which is a proposal to approve 3 more years to develop this project, which consists of 192 lots for the purposes of single-family residential development on 40.75 gross acres located approximately 1/4 mile west of Ash Road and north of the future Romero Road. Project 5C is an extension of time for vesting tentative tract map 6748, which is a proposal to approve 3 more years to develop this project, which consists of 132 lots for purposes of single-family residential development on 48.73 gross acres located west of Ash Road and south of the future Romero Road. Project 5D is an extension of time for vesting tentative tract map 6749, which is a proposal to approve 3 more years to develop this project, which consists of 194 lots for the purposes of single-family residential development on 46.59 gross acres located approximately 1/2 mile west of Ash Road and south of the future Romero Road. Project 5E is an extension of time for vesting tentative tract map 6750, which is a proposal to approve 3 more years to develop this project, which consists of 273 lots for the purposes of single-family residential development on 65.35 gross acres located at the northwest corner of Ash Road and Angle Road. Project 5F is vesting tentative tract map 7305, which is a proposal to subdivide 28 acres into 86 multifamily residential lots, 1 sump lot, and 4 landscape lots, and 1 off-site drill island on 2.34 acres, located at the southeast corner of Panama Lane and the future Reliance Drive. Project 5G is vesting tentative tract map 7335, which is a proposal to subdivide 40.73 acres into 117 single-family lots, 1 landscape lot, 1 sump lot, 1 drill lot, and 1 park lot, located south of Pensinger Road and east of South Allen Road. Project 5G is vesting tentative tract map 7348, which is a proposal to subdivide approximately 7.57 acres into 6 commercial lots and 21.23 acres into 1 designated remainder, located at the southwest corner of Hosking Avenue and South H Street. And Project 5H is an administrative review, Project 5I, Administrative Review 18-0492, which is a proposal to release a 20-foot wide portion of an access easement as encumbered by a recorded covenant of easement within parcel map 10763 in an R2 zone district located east of the intersection of Barnesdale Avenue and Jenkins Road. This concludes the reading of tonight's agenda.
And just to clarify for the record, vesting tentative tract map 7348 is item H on the agenda, so it's just to be clear. Yeah, G and F are wrong on that sheet. On the agenda, they're correct as H and I, the last two.
At this time, I will open all of the consent calendar public hearing items and note that item 5G was opened at the January 3rd, 2019 meeting and will be continued to March 7th
That's correct.
due to
Lack
not
of
reaching
quorum.
quorum on that item. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on a consent calendar public hearing item? Again, this is not the time to take testimony, only a time to request that the item be moved to the public hearing portion of the agenda. If so, please state your name and which item.
My name is Gordon Knipp, and I would like 5G vesting tentative tract map 7335 taken off the consent agenda. I may not be able to be here on March the 7th, and so I'd like to make a statement.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to pull an item off of the consent calendar for further discussion? Does any commissioner wish to remove a consent calendar, a public hearing item for further discussion? Seeing no one in the audience or a commissioner, I will now close this time the public hearing on all consent calendar items 5A through 5F and 5H and I are now closed, with 5G moving to the public hearing portion to take public comments. May I have a motion to adopt staff's recommendation on consent calendars 5A through 5F, 5H, and 5I?
So moved.
Commissioner Lomas, may I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Rudnick. This is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Cater,
Yes.
Commissioner Bell,
Yes.
Commissioner Lomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Rudnick.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the public hearing item. Since you're going to recuse yourself, we'll need somebody to step in as chair to run at least opening the public hearing and starting the comments. If you have any volunteers up there?
Can I nominate the guru of the commission, Commissioner Lomas? She's getting her glasses off.
I think that's a good move.
Okay. Hey, Commissioner Lomas, I'll hand you the, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll open it just as a regular public hearing item?
So we'll open it and we'll do comments like we normally do. We just won't close it. We'll continue it to the March 7th meeting.
Do you want all the language read too?
Yeah, just in case there's anybody else here, we
Okay.
better do it for the record.
Alrighty then. It is now time to hear the consent calendar public hearing items removed from that portion of the agenda. Before we begin, I'd like to explain how each hearing will be conducted. Staff will first give a report, then those in favor of the project will be allowed to speak. Those in opposition to the project will be able to speak after all those in favor have spoken. Each side will be given 5 minutes to provide rebuttal comments. Individual speakers may ask questions during their statements, but the questions will not be answered until the public hearing on that item is closed. Written comments may be given to the clerk, who will provide copies to the commission. Please be respectful of others participating in the hearing by not repeating the remarks of previous speakers and presenting any new comments or thoughts in a concise and clear way. Thank you. Mr. Coyle, do you have a staff report?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Acting Chair and members of the Commission. Vesting Tentative Tract Map 7335 is a project brought to you tonight by McIntosh and Associates, representing Encanto Gardens, LLC. The project is located generally south of Pensinger Road and east of South Allen Road in southwest Bakersfield. The project is a request to subdivide approximately 40 acres into 117 single-family residential lots, 1 landscape lot, 1 sump lot, 1 drill site lot, and 1 park site lot in an R1 zone. The project site is subject to 2 general plan amendment zone changes that were approved by City Council. On December 14, 2005, City Council approved General Plan Amendment Zone Change 05-0943, which changed the land use from resource-intensive agriculture to low-density residential, and changed the zoning from agricultural with a 20-acre minimum lot size to a one-family dwelling zone, R1, on a portion of the proposed project site. On March 14, 2007, City Council approved a related general plan amendment and zone change 06-0925, which changed the land use entitlements for the remaining portion of the project site from agriculture to single-family residential development. An air quality study, cultural resources survey, and traffic study were prepared for the general plan amendment and zone change. On January 3, 2019, at the request of the applicant, vesting tentative tract map 7335 was continued from the January 3, 2019 meeting to tonight, February 21st, 2019's meeting, to further review memos from staff. The applicant contacted city staff to accept the changes. The project's conditions of approval reflect those changes. Staff recommends the request to allow the lot depths adjacent to the 20-acre minimum agricultural zone property to the south be reduced from a minimum of 140 feet to approximately 125 feet. On August 14, 2018, the Board of Zoning Adjustment approved zoning modification file number 18-0276 to allow 17 residential lots along the proposed project's south boundary with a minimum 25-foot rear yard setback for residential structures, where a minimum 50 feet is required when abutting agricultural zone property. A future park is planned in this section along the northern portion of this tract, which contains 5.6 acres identified as Lot A in Phase 3. Upon future development of the adjacent property to the north, which is tract map 6578, an additional 1.7 acres of parkland has been deeded to the city, which will result in a 7.3 total acre park site. Staff has received one public inquiry from Mr. Gordon Knipp, who is here this evening, representing the Sierra Club. Staff recommends approval of this project with conditions as attached in the staff report. This concludes my reading of the staff report.
Thank you. As the public hearing is still open on this item, is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the project? Seeing no one, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Mr. Knapp.
My name is Gordon Knipp. I'm the vice chair of the local Sierra Club chapter. I turned in some letters on this project, and I'll let those pretty much speak for themselves at this point. But I would like to emphasize a couple of things here. The two negative declarations that make up the project mitigated negative declaration are 13 and 14 years old and are substantially out of date. Many new laws and regulations have been mandated and implemented since these negative declarations were approved. For example, the negative declarations don't address the Valley Air District's Rule 9510, don't address state law in SB 32, SB 350. They don't address affordable housing requirements of SB 35 and others. Title 24 has been repeatedly updated since then, updates that are not reflected in this project's mitigated negative declaration. The city's exclusive reliance on the negative declarations is unreasonable because it doesn't consider climate change. Maybe the defining issue for our species, something we should be addressing if we care at all about not leaving an overheated planet for the next generations. The mitigated negative declaration doesn't consider the air pollution and health impacts of PM 2.5. Long-term exposure to PM 2.5 increases mortality risk, particularly from cardiovascular causes. In addition, world population has increased from 6.6 billion people in 2006, when the negative declaration was written, to 7.7 billion people now in 2019. Given the increased need for food production, the city should reconsider the project's impact on farmland loss. Much else. These two old negative declarations are grossly insufficient as an informational document. Of course, if this were the only project being proposed, its impacts would be small. But thousands of new residences are in the pipeline. For example, there are 7 additional housing and commercial projects listed on tonight's agenda. And of course, there are adjacent tracks 7334 and 6578, many other tracks that are coming up. The cumulative impacts of new development must be considered significant. Cumulative impacts to air pollution. If each of, say, 20 projects emits 5 tons per year of NOx, each under the air district's 10-ton per year significance threshold, the 20 together will emit 100 tons per year, well over the air district significance threshold. 1 out of every 6 kids has asthma. If we care at all about the health of our community, we should be addressing the cumulative impact of these projects on air pollution. Cumulative impacts to climate change. Pope Francis recently said that climate change has brought our world to the, quote, limits of suicide. How can we in good conscience do nothing as in this project? Farmland loss. How many thousands of total acres have been lost with no mitigation? The city does a disservice to our community by refusing to address these cumulative impacts. Send this back to the planners to prepare a supplemental or subsequent EIR to adequately analyze the project's impacts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing no one, I guess we're going to go with a rebuttal period. No? I see Mr. McIntosh coming forward.
Roger McIntosh, just a question. I understand the public hearing is going to be continued and to be continue to be open.
Correct, because we can't take any action on it tonight.
Okay, and I'd just like to reserve my comments to all the commissioners that will be taking action at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have no one else wishing to speak in opposition, no rebuttals. I think we can move on.
Correct. So that, just to reassure everybody, that item will be on the agenda at the March 7th meeting. So we'll take further comments in the commission. The commissioners that are absent will be provided the video so they could at least see Mr. Knipp's comments.
And so the public hearing will remain open, and we'll look for Mr. Cater to come back and he can finish up. Daniel? I don't see him.
Are we letting them off the hook?
I don't know.
Daniel.
Thank you, Commissioner Lomas. We are now moving on to communications. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a brief announcement that our next Planning Commission meeting obviously will be March 7th. And just to give you a further heads up, there will be a second March meeting on the 21st as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any commissioner comments? Seeing none, I will adjourn the meeting at 6:04. Have a good evening.